Hello everyone, my name is Ian Kubule, and in this presentation I will be discussing the National Security Agency's surveillance issue and the ethics thereof. So let's get started. Now, for anyone who's familiar with the Bill of Rights, the major conflict comes when we highlight the Fourth Amendment. And for anyone who doesn't know what the Fourth Amendment is, there you go. This is literally copied and pasted from Google, so just save the time. And it's best if you just pause the video and take a second to read it just to make sure that everything's clear. So now, to give a little background information on the foundation of the Fourth Amendment, we need to talk a little bit about this guy, James Otis Jr. So back in the 1760s, he was essentially the first person to challenge the British government on the basis of the writs of assistance. The writs of assistance were general standing warrants which gave British law enforcement the ability and the authority to seize anything they want, inspect, basically break into your house and do whatever they need to do in an attempt to stop smuggling. He eventually lost the case against the government, but it was his ideas, his framework, and his logic for his arguments which eventually went forth and you can say inspired the Fourth Amendment. So now to the NSA. Truth is, the NSA is prohibited from obtaining information on US citizens, and I also believe it's roughly extended to permanent residents. That's a little iffy. But this basically means that if they are found to be in possession of any information on US citizens or Americans, etc., the data is supposed to be destroyed. Supposed to be. Well, we'll see. And in order to violate the privacy of any US citizen, this once again refers to the Fourth Amendment. There must be reasonable grounds for suspicion or a suspected plot, etc. I mean, but this is good news at least, because it's an actual law. They're not allowed to spy on Americans. But now we the ugly side. So, like I said before, just because it's illegal doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And they've been caught on numerous occasions to have been collecting massive amounts of data at their whim, basically. And I actually have a quote here from Mr. James Otis Jr. And he said, "Custom house officers may enter our houses when they please, break everything in their way, and whether they break through malice or revenge, no man, no court may inquire." And that's exactly the same thing that's happening here. They collect data, they sift through people's information, emails, etc. And why? No answer. But it's illegal. No answer. See my point? Established organizations like the American Civil Liberties Union and the National Telecommunications and Information Administration have have just beaten the dead horse by saying yes, it's illegal. This should be stopped. It still continues, nonetheless. But I also want to say that we should just give some thought to the other side of the issue. Essentially, we allow ourselves to be searched and inspected every single day, but why does the issue become any different when we change the playing field to electronics? I mean, think about this. Next time you're going to an airport and you're going through TSA and the guy asks you to hand over your iPad or something for a routine search. What are you gonna say? You gonna let him do it? And if so, what's the problem with the NSA? I mean, that's just something to think about. So, I mean, collectively, that's why I say it all comes down to whether people place their privacy above protection or security. That's really what the issue is. And sometimes you just need to ask yourself, how do I feel about this? Do I think it's worth it? But, otherwise to that, I just have to say, aside from all conspiracies, the last time there was a neglect to search and seize, this happened. So I think that's self-explanatory. So it's all about weighing the pros and the cons. You can look at it this way. I hand over my cell phone. Everyone hands over my cell phone. But am I going to be this person who folds my hands and says, no, it's private? And then everyone folds their hands and says, no, it's private. That's how we end up with situations like the slide before. I mean, aside from all this as well, I can even say, making use of another term from my friend James Otis Jr., he said, a man's house is his castle, and whilst he is quiet, he is as well guarded as a prince in his castle. These quotes and these sayings were made in a time where everything was still physical. There was no electronic data. There was no telecommunication data, etc. So the Fourth Amendment was quite literally applied to physical scenarios. The electronic age is a little different than that. Well, scratch a little. It's very different. And furthermore, speaking on laws, laws basically represent what a government, and most of the time, what a majority of the people want at that certain point in time. So laws can and laws do change. The Fourth Amendment was made at a time where electronic devices didn't even exist. So, so if anything, maybe the amendments need a little revision. I mean, this this is the same issue as the whole rights to bear arms thing. I mean, that was made then. People take it very I'm sorry, literally, no. And it's really just not the 1960s anymore. So, in closing, I'd just like to say, although we as people are generally concerned about who has our personal information and what's being done with it and how it's being obtained, at the end of the day, you should just take a second thought before you hit the send button, you upload the picture, you ignore the third party user warning, or you close the user license agreement. Because in the end, you could be the one that's putting it out there, not the NSA. That's just something to think about. So, don't sweat it. I'm not. Thank you for your time.